Alrighty. So, once again, welcome to CS 107. This course is essentially an intro to computer science for non-majors. So there are some computer science, future computer scientists here tonight and that are in the class. But generally, this is meant to be sort of a soft introduction to computer science and sort of a broad overview of when you're encountering, to give you an idea of when you would encounter computer science on sort of a day-to-day basis. So there's some basic things to do that hoping you get to this week. They are a pre-survey. It gives me a good idea, better idea about who you are and how I can better support you. The learning platform, or the computer science platform that we're going to be using is called Thunkable. So you definitely need that account. And we're going to use Piazza in this class. And I'm going to say this multiple times, but I actually don't love Piazza's user interface, but what I do like is that you can post anonymously. And a lot of this class is about developing an identity as someone who's comfortable with computer science. But until you do that, you need to feel comfortable to ask questions that may seem basic. And so what I really like about Piazza is it has an anonymous feature, so you can ask questions and I'll know who's asking, because it's important that I know. But if you need to ask in a public space, it should be totally fine. So get into this course a little bit. So this is the intro to week 1, and this is an intro to the course and an overview of what we're going to be doing. So in tonight's session, I'm hoping that for you to get clarity on the content that we're going to cover in this course and the expectations to be a student in this course. I want you to get Thunkable set up tonight. We're going to start on some Thunkable tutorials. It's not, I don't expect that you're going to finish all of them, but this is the time that you can work on them. And I hope that people in this, when we're done with the session, it's clear on how you submit work for this class. Really important thing for this class. You do not need to have taken any previous CS classes. You don't need to have done anything on code.org. This class is intended for people generally who don't have any experience. So there's no prerequisites. And I think that the content that we're going to cover is intended such that anyone can learn it. So anyone who's made it to this point that's in college, that's in this class, it's meant to be an accessible course. The person with the highest grade in this class does not get a job at Google. It's not a competitive course in that sense. It's a course where everyone can get an A if people put in the effort. So people are in this course for different reasons. Some people are taking it towards a minor or first step toward a major. Some people are using it to fill one of the core requirements. We'll have people in here for different reasons. And actually, I think that makes for a really cool and a much more diverse class generally. I can tell you that I love teaching this class. I've been teaching this class for a while. As a teaching philosophy, I'm much more interested in making things accessible, demystifying them, taking sort of the not to say that things shouldn't feel magical, but learning things like this should feel like much more comfortable. And that's what we're shooting for in this class. So myself, I grew up in San Francisco. I've lived a bunch of neat places like New Orleans and in New York in the Middle East. My first job out of college when I was 23 was working at a FedEx terminal, which is totally random. And I teach at night here at USF. I'm actually teaching 3 classes this semester. But my day job is I work for San Francisco Unified, and I write computer science curriculum. So I think a lot about how can I make computer science more accessible and easier to learn, essentially. I'm going to have the TAs introduce themselves. So if they would unmute themselves, my screen is shared, so you guys will still just be it'll still be the screen. But if Ayla and Natalia, if you want to just introduce yourselves.
Okay, I'm Ayla. Hi, I'm here in the red. Yeah, pretty much what it says, like, I'm from Texas. That's where I currently am right now, like quarantining. My major is communication studies with a minor in public relations, and this is my last year of my last semester of my junior year. And I took this course last year with Rothman, and like I was really nervous to take it because I was like, computer science, like not my thing. And then once I took it, like it was super, super enjoyable, and I made a lot of really good friends too.
Hi, I'm Natalia. I'm from San Francisco. My other job is I dance and I get to travel. I'm a sociology major. with an emphasis on criminology and law. And I took this class last semester and I really enjoyed it.
So Ayla and Natalia are available for office hours multiple times a week, and that should be accessible. I'll go over that feature in Canvas, but you should know how to get to the Zoom for their office hours, which they've set up. But they're awesome, and they are available to support you. One of my favorite things is I just got to be honest with you. One of my favorite things are corny jokes. And since this class is asynchronous, we're not going to get to do a corny joke to start each class. So I'll just do maybe our one and only corny joke for this semester. Actually, let me just get through this. Sorry. There's no bonus points, but if you want to either call out the answer or put it in the chat, I'd love to see what kind of senses of humor we have in this class. Our corny joke of the day, maybe our only corny joke of the semester. What has 4 wheels and flies? No wrong answers, but there's only really one right answer. You can type it in the chat, or you can call it out.
Hey, is garbage truck?
Garbage truck is correct. Very good. We got a good class here. We got a person in the chat. We got a person who was able to call it out. That's awesome. Okay, thank you for indulging me. So kind of to circle back on something that Natalia and Ayla said, they came to computer science, or many people are coming to this class without any experience with computer science. And just a simple learning theory is that when you're doing something that you already know how to do, that you're really like comfortable with it already, you might consider yourself in the comfort zone. And there's not a lot of learning that happens when you sort of repeat things that you're already really comfortable with. Where the best learning happens, if we're synthesizing down like really high level academic thinking about learning, you want to synthesize it down to something simple. I would say that there's this idea of a stretch zone, and that's where you're being forced to do things that you're not are they comfortable with or aren't familiar with, and there's a risk of being wrong. You have to make yourself vulnerable in order to learn it, and in that time you're fully engaged in the learning process, and that's generally where the most learning happens. And as an instructor, what I have to be aware of is pushing someone into the stress zone, because there's a point at which things are a little too overwhelming, and then people shut down and they stop learning. So this class, my goal is to push you outside of the comfort zone, but I let me know if it feels like it's too much. It's not anything that we do in this class is not that important. I'm glad you're here. I care about it. I'm passionate about it. I hope you are. But on any particular day, if that's not your day or that's not your week, just let me know. It's okay not to feel like there's a time when you don't want to be pushed as much. I do think most of the learning, the best thing I can do is push you into the stretch zone. The worst thing I can do is be pushing you into that red zone. This should be an enjoyable experience. So that's a little bit, and we'll come back to this idea. Sort of a complementary idea is that this is really about a process for learning about computers and learning how to interact with computers. It's the final product is less important than the process of engaging with this class. So up until this point, this class, so there's a number of professors who teach this class, and really there's sort of an intellectual history behind it. There's a professor, USF professor by the name of Dave Wolber. He was the head of the CS department. Now he's just a normal professor. And he wrote a curriculum for this. So there was a computer science platform that was developed at MIT. It was called App Inventor, and it worked exclusively on Android devices, which is not great because most people don't have Android devices, but it's a really cool program. And what happened last spring is when we went to distance learning, that program really it didn't work well with distance learning, and we had to sort of change the way the class ran in the spring. And in the meantime, a similar program was developed out of the same sort of department or lab at MIT. So there's the father of it all is this guy named Hal Abelson. He started App Inventor, and his more recent students started this thing called Thunkable. And lucky us, Thunkable is way easier to use. You can test it in your browser. You can test it on an iPhone. It's free. And it's a significant improvement. It's a significant leap forward. So while in the past you needed an Android device for this class, you no longer need it. And there's no device, there's no book. Everything will be free and ideally easily accessible. So in terms of office hours, mine need to be changed. So mine will actually be Thursday from 5 to 7. You can always email me or message me through Piazza, and we can try to find a time. Ayla is the TA for Section 1, and again, you can find her office hours you can find her Zoom link through the Canvas for Section 1 under the Zoom tab. And Natalia, they have the same hours, but we're hoping that people from Section 1 go to Ayla, Section 2 Natalia, just so that everyone gets a fair amount of time with a TA in live time. If you do need more time and there's some concern you can't make it Monday, Wednesday, Thursday that week, email me and we'll find a time. So this class is pretty straightforward. You're going to build half the class, and most class, you're going to build apps, which is, in my opinion, it's pretty cool. And the way it's set up, we're going to build apps today, right here in this session. There's a weekly homework assignment. It's required. Apps, as I said, sometimes it's hard to get to office hours. There's some flexibility in turning in apps. The homeworks will be due at a set time, and I'll be more clear. Every week, the assignments for whatever the assignment was, either an in-class assignment or homework, is due Sunday night. So we'll just make that very clear. I put quizzes and exams in there. I don't think we're going to have many. To be honest with you, I don't think it really makes sense for this format to have quizzes and exams. There may be something. It'll be small. It'll be a small part of your grade. So this class is not about a midterm and a final. It's about every week, I guess, putting in effort to engage with whatever the content is. So this next slide, the homework has a set time. I don't accept homework late. So that's something that should be, I guess my concern is that something wouldn't make sense the way I wrote it or presented it. And I feel like that would be my fault. So I acknowledge that I may have to change that, but I feel like I set it up in a way, the homework should be due Sunday night right before midnight. The apps will be due at the same time. So the thing about apps is we have a rubric for the things that you're supposed to put into each app. And so if the grade that you get based on the rubric is not the grade that you want, you can always improve the app and get a higher grade. So I'm totally fine with you submitting something, you get some feedback, it wasn't 100%, and the TAs you can go to an office hour and the TAs show them that the change that you made, and they will change your grade. So that can be done at the office hours. It's too hard to do over email. Very specifically, it's too hard to do over email because you kind of got to show that it works and you got to show the code. So if you need grade changes for apps, you can do it during the TA office hours. Let's get into some things you guys are going to be building. So in unit 1, so every unit has sort of concepts or computer science concepts that you'll be learning, and then the apps that you build, which will show off those concepts. So unit 1, the main concept is this idea of events, which are very simply like things that happen on your phone, which trigger some sort of response. So an event is turning your phone on or pressing a button, or someone calls or texts, or you shake your phone. Those are all events. And you're going to build, actually you're going to build 3 apps in unit 1. I missed one there, but it's sort of based around this idea of an MP3 player. So you're going to build an app that will play your own media, and you'll design the app, and it'll be like a basic MP3 player. Unit 2, where 2 big concepts are these ideas are conditionals and variables, and we have a bunch of apps that you'll build there. I am a Warriors fan, so I'm sorry if you're not from the Bay Area. There will be a lot of Warriors themed content in this class, and there would be Giants themed content, but they're not any good. So well. Unit 3, procedures and functions. They're kind of very similar terms. Procedures and functions. We'll be building a bunch of games, and you'll build your own creative game app in unit 3. Unit 4, the main concept is lists, and you'll build a series of apps that utilize this concept of lists. So again, so the in-class work, you'll be building apps, and generally you're going to go to a website that I built that has a lot of the main content on it. So this is what the website looks like. So this will all be linked on Canvas, but you would like say you if you were going to build an app, I'm going to link to a page that I built that has everything on it. I was thinking of just putting everything directly onto Canvas, but I just didn't like it. It felt really clunky, and I felt like it needed a bit more structure to thinking about like what the lesson looked like, especially if we're doing this asynchronously. So on any particular lesson that I send you to, there will be an additional slide deck. You can reference some of the key things from what you'll need, but it should be, in a sense, well, I guess the main thing is that there's a handout, and you can pop the handout out. And the way these handouts are set up, again, like the key is that this should be accessible, and it should be like realistic to get off the ground with this type of thing. So I generally build 3 levels of challenge into a lesson. It doesn't matter which level you take. It's not a difference in grade. You just may want, you may want more of a challenge, because I know that there's computer science majors or people who are planning on being computer science majors in this class. So you can do mild level, where I built a video tutorial where you can build the basic app off of a video tutorial. There's the medium level, which is I've generally given some sort of user interface instruction and sort of some sort of an algorithm or steps to like do the coding. But if you're a real hot shot, feel free to just build the app off the description. People definitely come in wanting that challenge. So that's there. So the basic level app should be, you can choose whatever level of support you want. It's totally fine, whatever level you take. What sort of somewhat differentiates, this is not actually a good example, but what happens is there's the basic level app that everyone builds, and then there's challenges. And the challenges are essentially the difference between getting a B on an app and an A on an app. So if you want to get an A, you have to engage in the challenges, and that's where the concept is generally applied in a more dynamic way. So you're showing your understanding of the concept by applying it within the app. So I'll show you a little more about the site that we're using. And there's some, I had to build this over the summer because we switched platforms. So there are some errors, but there is some like sort of light instruction. I think the handouts are better, but oftentimes I've set it up where you would open the template. A lot of times you'll use a template because I want you to get a kind of a head start or a better, I want you to get a little ahead. There's a question in the chat. Will our grade be affected? No. There's no difference in the grade between whether you do it mild or medium or spicy. The difference in the grade comes from the challenges themselves. So everyone sort of will build the baseline app, and that it doesn't matter how you get there, but it's like sort of the higher level application. And again, you can always get your grade improved on an app. If you didn't get all the points you wanted, or you want more time on it, you can improve your grade on an app. It's ongoing. So, but that specific question is, it doesn't matter how you get started. All right, I'll go back to the overview. So on the website, there's slide decks, there's handouts, there's videos. The handouts themselves are, I've set it up as mild, medium, and spicy. The end of each week, this is, well, anyway, the end of each week, there's always a survey, because it's really important to me to try to improve this class. And this is the first time we're using Thunkable. So inevitably I will have made a series of errors, and you'll be doing the next class a great favor if you could tell me exactly what those errors are as you go through it. So I do a end of class survey that's part of your grade. So the homeworks are pretty straightforward. The first couple weeks, the first week is just, I want you to really learn the Thunkable platform so you kind of know where things are. So it's a scavenger hunt, and it's video guided, so you can do a lot of it through video. I think the next, through week 6, the way I have it set up is there's sort of softer coding platforms that do block coding, and I want you to practice concepts on like code.org, and I'll direct you there. I just want you guys to make sure that you understand what these concepts look like. I need to make this public on the site, but you can see the grading rubric is meant to be like transparent and like publicly open, so you can see exactly how the grades work. If you haven't done it already, I'm going to put this in the chat. it's really important to me to get some background information on who is in the class and like what support you may need. So if you haven't done it, something you can do while I'm talking right now is you're welcome to do the pre-survey. We will be using Piazza. Very specifically, I'd be honest with you, I don't like the user interface on Piazza. It just looks, it's not a pretty interface. I don't like it. But the really important thing about Piazza is you can post a question anonymously. And so if it's because we're asynchronous and because we may not be doing much meeting together, you need a space where you can ask questions if you get stuck and it's not the office hour time. So please use Piazza to ask questions week to week. And myself or Natalia or Ayla will try to answer them as quickly as possible within Piazza. But the main reason I'm choosing to use Piazza rather than just set up a discussion in Canvas is because you can post to Piazza anonymously. So it's important to you to, you have to stretch yourself to learn some things. And I want to facilitate that to make sure you can feel comfortable asking questions that may seem, that may not be a question you would have normally asked. I want to eliminate that concern. So you can get to Piazza through Zoom, and it should be on the left-hand navigation. And it's possible that I didn't update the other section. So I will go back and I'll do it later, but Piazza should be at the top of the left-hand navigation, so you can easily get there. Alrighty. So we're going to get into a little bit about how Thunkable works. So I make most of the videos. I didn't make this one. This guy right here, this character was professor. He was a USF student about a decade ago, and he ended up being, when I was a classroom teacher here in San Francisco at high school, he was my student teacher, and he actually taught me a lot about how to do this program. And now he basically has a company where he trains people in computer science. So I'm using some of his videos. He's a character. I'm wondering how to best do this. I'm gonna cover this. I'm gonna cover what some basic things to think about, and I'm gonna stick around. And if you want to start doing the work during this period, that's fine. And if you're ready to go, that's also fine. So one thing you'll be doing this week is you'll take a basic video tour of Thunkable. You'll take a quick quiz. It should be a really easy quiz. I'll leave it at that. When you get into Thunkable, there's two main screens. There's the design screen where you'll be designing your app. On the left side, it has what are called components. So those are the things that you're going to drag into your app. There's layout components, which help you set up what you want the screen to look like. And then there's more sophisticated components, which do things like play sounds and navigate between screens, or show sort of animation and movement. And you'll get a chance to, we'll start slow into that, but it'll pick up a bit. So this is the design screen. You'll be able to see exactly what you're designing in the middle, where it says screen facsimile. And then for any component on the right, you can customize it. And I'm hoping we set up a lot of activities here in this first week that you'll get a chance to get familiar and comfortable with that. The second screen that's really important is the block screen, and you toggle it by clicking the buttons in the upper left here. And this is how you program the responses. And so very simply, the way this class works is, or rather this platform works, is it's event based. So anything that happens on your phone, whether a button is pressed or it's shaken or you receive a text or something like that, that's an event, something that happens. And the way we do the programming is we have to program a response to any particular event. So something happens on the phone, it needs to respond. And the way that you set up those responses is under the blocks. You decide what should happen when an event occurs, and you'll become very familiar with that in this class. Some important things. So there'll be a video tutorial to start off, and as an option for any of the apps that we build in this class. If you're not familiar with this on YouTube, something I think is just really important to know is that well, anyway, the person speaking on YouTube might be speaking slowly. So if you're watching this recording and you feel like this is going too slow, just go to the speed part and speed it up. Second of all, if you prefer to just like read the words, or maybe you want to mute it, or maybe you're in a library and you didn't bring your headphones, like the subtitle feature on YouTube is really useful. It really accurately and like quickly put subtitles to videos, and you can also change the language of the subtitle. So if the English, if I'm speaking in English and you prefer it in Portuguese, you can switch the subtitles to Portuguese. Really simple. If you didn't know that, it's a really, really useful feature. It would be ideal. I realize we're in this distance learning environment, and probably not everyone has a second screen. So something to keep in mind that I think just as a good programming hack is to have two windows open. Like just make open two different of your browser windows. And I find it really something that'll make it easier is to have like a tutorial running in one video, and then the coding screen, or the Thunkable coding screen in the other window. It'd be ideal if you had two screens, because then you could just put them in two places. But if you're limited to one screen, having them so you can just sort of easily cross-reference and press pause and build stuff will be much easier. There's a really specific way to submit work in Thunkable. Maybe I should just get Thunkable open. Basically, for any assignment that I set up in Canvas, you can just submit a URL. So if you're just trying to get to which URL you should be submitting, so the opening screen, once you make an account, is the My Project screen. So if I want to submit work, and I made a video of this, I hover over the three dots there, and I click the project detail page, and this will set up a unique page with your app eventually. And so, for example, this is Pong, and shows me a little bit of what's going on there. And what I want you to do when you submit is I just want you to copy this URL, and that's what you will submit in Canvas, so that myself and the TAs can just easily access that. From there, I can make a copy, I can look inside. It makes it really easy, but that's a very specific thing you're gonna have to get used to. Not that it's hard, but you gotta be able to open up the project page, copy the URL, and submit it. And that's how we'll submit most of the work in this class. Okay. There's a couple ways you can test your apps. There's a iPhone app, or rather there's an app that works for both Android and iPhone. It's just called Thunkable, and you can put that on your phone, and it will automatically sync with your Thunkable account, and all the apps that you're building, you can test them on your phone, so you can see what it would actually look like on a phone. But Thunkable has a new feature, which I think for a lot of people will just be way easier, and it's totally fine if this is what you choose to do. Let's say I open a project and I don't want to wait to load it up on my phone. We'll wait till this pops up. I can test it in the browser. So if I just want to see how this works, I just click live test, and I can preview it as essentially an app that's just a web app and opens up in your browser. So I can, anyway, so if I was playing Pong, for example, I could just play it in my browser rather than doing it on my phone. So it's up to you. It doesn't matter if you do it as a web app or on your phone, but you should definitely be testing your apps to see if they're working. All right. So there's this first week, you're going to be doing 4 really basic tutorials. The idea is just to get comfortable with like following the tutorial, getting comfortable with the Thunkable design screen and the block screen, and kind of get comfortable with how to test. Those are the real keys, but these are not overly complicated tutorials that you're following. So one is text to speech. So when you build this, you'll be able to type something into your phone, and it will speak it back to you. I built a challenge into each of these tutorials. You don't have to do them, but if you would like to be challenged, feel free to try them out. So the first tutorial I'll be doing is text to speech. The second one is a translator app. So you'll be able to type something in, and it will translate that to another language. The third app you're going to build this week is a random answer app. So it's almost kind of like a really, I don't know, somewhere like Magic 8 Ball, and you ask it a question, you press a button and it tells you yes or no, or maybe, or something like that. There's more challenges, and you're welcome to try them or you're welcome to skip them. For this week, the challenges are extra credit if you get them. You can get full credit without trying the challenges. Don't worry too much about that. This app, image recognition, it's pretty easy to make. It shows you how to use the photo feature. But this is a really neat, this is sort of like getting an insight into where kind of computers and apps are at, which is this uses like a very basic machine learning algorithm to identify objects. So you're going to use the camera and you're going to take a picture of a cat, and it's going to tell you whether it's a cat or not. And the fact that we can build this now in 5 minutes tells you, if people have never done much computer science can build that app in 5 minutes, you can imagine where computer scientists and the world they're building is pretty far out there. So anyway, you'll be able to see the power of this program and how quickly you can make a pretty powerful app. The homework for this week is a scavenger hunt. So you'll go to the web page I built, set up for it. It's here. You don't have to navigate this way. You can just use that direct link. And what you'll do is where's the handout here? You'll pop the handout out. Nope, actually that's not what you're gonna do. You're gonna make a copy of the handout. So it's here. You'll click here and it'll make a copy of the handout, so everyone will have their own handout. And you'll follow the video tutorials from this goofball, and you'll submit the document, which is the document that you'll fill in stuff as you find it, the scavenger hunt. So that's the homework for this week. And again, the goal is to get really comfortable with the platform. It's pretty easy to use. Something I referenced earlier, it's really important to me that, so there's a weekly survey, and that's because I need the feedback on what is working and what is not. It's really important to me to be constantly improving. It's like a fundamental piece of computer science. It's like, it's like when you get apps on your phone and the app store, you're constantly getting this notification every month or 2 months that there's a new version and they want you to update it. And that's because in computer science, things are never complete. Things are never perfect. There's always room to improve. The world is changing. There's new technology. There's all these things that are happening. And when you're in computer science, it's as much as, the original Super Mario is still really fun to play. You need to kind of level up when it comes to technology. And I feel the same way about teaching. I don't want to be the guy who's teaching the same thing over and over and making the same mistakes and kind of not reaching certain people. The only way I can get better is with feedback. And I want you to be honest in the feedback, because that is how I will improve. I'm a middle-aged man. I've lived a life, and I think for the most part I can take it. So feel free to give the feedback that you feel is necessary. What I don't want to be is Principal Skinner, who's out of touch with the students. This is who I want to avoid being. I feel like the way to do that is to get feedback from the students. So there's a weekly survey, and that is, I'm not exactly sure how factor it out in the grade, but it is required. And that would be, there's the link. Alrighty. So your tasks this week, and they're set up on Canvas, is you need to create a Thunkable account. You need to do the intro survey. There's 4 Thunkable tutorials there. You just, at minimum, just follow what the video is doing. If you want to do the challenges, that's great. There's an intro survey that I want to kind of get a sense of where you're at. There's the weekly survey, which is your feedback on what worked and what didn't from this week. There's the homework is the scavenger hunt. I'd like everyone to respond to the Piazza question, just because I want to make sure everyone knows how to get to Piazza and ask a question. Assignments will be due Sunday night at 11:59, and I will be available office hours Thursday nights. Natalia and Ayla will be around Monday and Wednesday. You can always email me with questions and we can find a time to connect. But I'm not anticipating doing more live classes like this. So I really hope to get more interaction. And yeah, so you are free. I'm going to stick around for a while. So if you want to interact with me on Zoom, or you feel like you want support right now to while you're doing tutorials, that's fine. But if it's if you've had enough Zoom for the day and you'd like to get on with your life, also totally fine. So I'm here, free to ask questions. I hope Ayla and Natalia can stick around for a little bit as well. But if you're ready to go, it's all good. And it was a pleasure to meet you guys. Have a good evening. I'll stop.
Thank you.
Thank you.